Hello there, welcome. So in this session, we're going to talk a little bit about resilience, what it is and why it's so important, and we're going to touch on how to train it essentially. Very popular topic, especially as of late, that I find a lot of people maybe don't understand or they're not quite so sure what it is, right? And so if I look at what is it that people have who create the life they want, and those that don't. The biggest difference oftentimes between those who create the life they aspire to and those that don't is the people who create the life they aspire to have a high level and capacity of resilience, and those that don't have low capacity or they don't have a lot of resilience. And so, well, what does that mean? What is that difference, right, between somebody who has a high level of resilience and can create the things they aspire to, and those that don't, is the ability or the capacity to withstand discomfort, okay, for an extended period of time. Our ability to withstand discomfort has a direct relationship to the level in which we succeed. The greater the capacity for withstanding discomfort over time, the higher level of success you're going to see, the higher potential you're going to see. The lower capacity we have to endure discomfort, the more challenge we end up having, actually, and the lower of success that we end up having. Whereas on the other side, those who have a high level of resilience actually have a lot less pain in their life, a lot less suffering in their life. So it's kind of counterintuitive. Our ability to withstand discomfort ensures we have less pain and suffering in our life, and the less capacity we have to withstand discomfort, the more pain and suffering we have in our life. So the consequence, another way to say it is like the consequence of having, low resilience is more pain and suffering. And the benefit to having a high level of resilience is more joy, more enjoyment, and less pain and suffering. And so let's speak about why that is, okay? If we think about it in a practical sense, right, from a willpower perspective, because resilience and willpower, in many ways, they work off each other, right? And so let's say my ability to withstand discomfort is very low, and so from just a day-to-day lifestyle reality, I wake up and I'm like, man, I really want a donut, and it's breakfast time, and you're at a restaurant, right? Like me this morning, I was at a restaurant, and they have these beautiful donuts. You walk in, you smell them. They got maple donuts. They got all the things. They're fresh, right? And you're like, man, those look good. That moment to say no, in many ways, is resilience. The ability to endure the discomfort of the urge or that desire for the donut, and to be able to walk to the table and order, eggs and fruit, right? Like, I know that doesn't sound like resilience, or that, like, people don't think about that as resilience, but think about it. That's emotional discomfort, right? That's a little bit of, or a level of physical discomfort where we have the urge for something, like a food item, and our ability to go without that and make the quote-unquote healthier choice. If we have a high level of resilience to make those great decisions day after day after day after day, you answer to vibrant health and well-being in the body. So a lot less pain and discomfort physically than somebody who has low resilience, at low ability to tolerate discomfort, and they're just driven by instant gratification. And it's like, I want the donut, so I'm eating it, right? It's like if that is what's driving us in the most basic sense, those individuals answer to diabetes, right? Those individuals answer to a much shorter health span than others. And so that's what I mean by our ability to have a high resilience and withstand discomfort keeps us from pain and suffering. A lower resilience or a less ability to withstand discomfort tends to translate to a higher degree of pain and suffering, okay? Let's take a relationship as an example. Let's say that in a relationship, I want my significant other or my friend to do something, and I have a need that I want met. If I have a low degree of resilience, right, in that moment we feel a little discomfort, we feel maybe lonely, or we feel taken for granted, or we feel something in that moment, and we act out because we're not getting our need met right then and there. We need them to give us what we want right now, and we don't have the ability to feel that discomfort, assess if it's healthy, or maybe even support them instead of getting our need met, it's like the inability to go without what we want in our relationships breaks a relationship down. That translates into divorce. That translates into, families, no longer being together. And so our ability to not tolerate temporary discomfort or discomfort over time translates to us answering to a much more challenging event, right? Whereas if we have high resilience, we can go, wow, you know what? Sure, I miss my partner. I feel lonely. I feel taken for granted. But that doesn't have to determine or dictate my action right now in demanding that they give me what I want. Maybe I step into understanding that they're going through a lot, or I understand they got a lot on their plate. They do care about me, but we've just got a busy life reality, and we both got jobs, and we both got kids to take care of, and we're doing our lifestyle thing. And if I can just sort of hold out for a week or so until date night, I'm going to get what I want. And so my ability to have a good attitude and appreciation for my partner, or, even though I don't, get my need met right away, but I can go, wow, you know what, I'm going to have that soon. And then wait until we get there. Now you actually get to enjoy it. But if we can't wait until we get there, those couples fight over their vacation. And they're basically, don't have that a higher level of joy or that they access, right? Money's the same thing. If I have a spending habit, impulse control, I just buy what's in front of me. I don't invest. And so I never get to the thing called financial freedom where it's like, man, I see the difference. I see people who are working jobs they hate when they're in their 60s and their 70s because they can't take care of themselves. And I see individuals who had resilience through their life, were able to endure the discomfort of not having what they wanted right away, and they invested and they saved and they worked a little bit more when their friends were playing, and then fast forward, all of a sudden they get to do whatever they want, and they're living a very different reality because they had resilience. Now, I could keep going on and on and on with examples, but I just want you to understand that this is why people who have a high level of resilience tend to have a lot less pain and suffering in their life, whereas people who have very low levels or capacity for resilience tend to have pain and suffering a lot more in their life, right? Instant gratification leads to an increased level of pain and suffering. The capacity to delay gratification, which has a direct correlation to resilience, leads to a high level of joy and fulfillment in life, a lot less pain and suffering. And so understand, though, there is a difference between the resilience, right, the enduring of discomfort as opposed to pain. Pain, right? Pain should not be, endured, right? Because pain leads to injury. An example physically, right? I'm working out and you feel that pinch and you're like, that didn't feel right. And you ignore the pain, and tomorrow the pain is worse. And you ignore the pain, you keep working out. You ignore the pain, you keep working out, and now all of a sudden you tear your tendon, right? You tear your hamstring. Now you have to have surgery because you ignored pain, right? Ignoring pain leads to injury. Another example of that. Let's say you're actually in an abusive relationship of some sort, and you're enduring emotional abuse, like true, legitimate emotional abuse, enduring emotional abuse where somebody's calling you names, right? Where somebody is perpetually diminishing who you are. And you're just like withstanding that day after day after day after day. That's pain that leads to emotional trauma, right? Maybe PTSD, things like this. That's very hard, maybe not possible to undo. So I'm not saying to learn to withstand pain. I'm saying first we must understand the difference between pain as opposed to discomfort, right? Right? Discomfort is, man, I really miss my significant other and we're apart for periods of time, but we're doing the things that we need to do to create a better life. And so enduring that discomfort is going to lead to increased levels of joy and fulfillment and ultimately less pain and suffering, right? Increased discomfort. If I'm working out and my muscles burn because I'm working out really hard, That's discomfort. If I have the ability to withstand high levels of discomfort, it literally translates to high levels of strength, high levels of power within the body, high levels of resilience in the body. And so discomfort, we want to have a very high tolerance for discomfort of all kinds. Because if we develop a high tolerance to discomfort, that is how we get stronger. It's just the nature of things. The only way to get stronger is healthy stress, okay? So that can look like lifting weights and heavier weights. That can look like, running further distances with the physical body. And like the higher level of stress, healthy stress you put on the body, resistance you put on the body, the stronger it gets, right? Healthy stress in relationship was like I was talking to you about. The ability to go without what we want for periods of time structures the relationship to endure over time and to have healthy dynamic relationships. Food, the ability to go without the things that are quote unquote fun, literally translates, right, the higher level of tolerance we develop to go without this stuff, the healthier we're going to be, okay? And so we want to develop a high tolerance, resilience to discomfort. A high level of tolerance to discomfort is what resilience is. Resilience is, right, high resilience. Having extraordinary resilience is to have high tolerance, an extraordinary capacity to tolerate discomfort for the sake of getting stronger and bettering oneself. And that can look different ways in different parts of life. But what you will see consistently across the board, if you see somebody who is loving the life they're living an extraordinary life, and they have a high capacity in something, you will see a high level of resilience there, a high tolerance to manage discomfort, okay, endure discomfort. Now, when it comes to pain, right, pain and suffering, okay, we should develop a very low tolerance. Okay, we should have a very low tolerance for pain and suffering because pain is a sign that something is wrong, that we're susceptible to injury, we're hurting ourselves. But many people, they don't know how to make this distinction between pain and suffering, which is an indication of injury, right, or breakage, okay, as opposed to the discomfort, okay, of discomfort, right? Essentially, discomfort is that resistance or stress that's going to translate to growth, right? Pain is resistance, okay, if you will, or stress that's unhealthy, okay? Pain and suffering is resistance and stress that is unhealthy, that is going to cause breakage, that is going to cause, some kind of breakdown, right? It's a sign, don't do this. We need to understand the distinction between healthy stress and discomfort, healthy stress, right? Healthy resistance, and the ability to endure high levels of stress and healthy resistance, because that discomfort of healthy stress and resistance leads to strength, leads to higher capacity. Higher capacity leads to less suffering, okay? So I hope this is helpful in terms of how to think about the distinctions between resilience, right? What resilience is, increasing our ability to manage discomfort over time. If you can withstand high degrees of discomfort over time, you're going to be excellent. If you look at a pro athlete of any kind, right, no matter what the field is, they have an extremely high ability to resist healthy discomfort, so they got stronger and better at their sport. If you see a world-class musician, okay, who trained hours every day until they played, in the symphony, okay, or a world-class artist, what you will see there is their high capacity to tolerate discomfort to produce a result. And then all of a sudden, pain and suffering wasn't there anymore, and they have an extremely high capacity, okay? When you look at people who break down, it's not because they have a high level of resistance. you can have a high level of resistance to pain and suffering, and that doesn't build tolerance, that builds dysfunction. Having a high capacity to withstand pain and suffering only translates to encouraging dysfunction. And that is going to cause you to break down. That's going to cause you to get injured. That's going to cause disasters in life, okay? So we need to start to learn that subtle but ever so important distinction between this is pain, and I need to have a low tolerance for it, I need to get out of here, as opposed to, this is healthy discomfort, and if I lean into this, I'm going to get better, and my life's going to get better, and I'm going to avoid pain and suffering, okay? So tolerating for the sake of it is not what I'm saying. There are situations that are just causing pain, that are unhealthy, we need to get out of it. It does not help to endure that. There are situations where you're suffering. We need to get out of that. You don't need to endure that. If you're, if you're starving, you have no food, your ability to go longer without food is not healthy, especially if you're suffering, you're starving is not your choice, okay? Like, we need to do what we can to eat and make sure other people have food and so on and so forth, okay? If you're in a household, which is the unfortunate reality, some people are in households where they're physically harmed each day. Their well-being is actually they're not safe. They're getting physically beat every day or for a good part of their life. No, you're not supposed to try to withstand that. You need to get out of those unhealthy environments. So again, high levels of ability to withstand pain and suffering is not going to develop resilience. It's going to encourage dysfunction, and ultimately, we're going to get hurt. We're going to get injured, okay? Whether that's physically, whether that's internally, emotionally injured, we want to avoid that. However, you know what? You have a parent, and they have high expectations of you, but they encourage you, and they give you all the tools that you need to succeed, and they let you go out there and skin your knees a little bit and learn how to do better over time, right? That's learning resilience as an example, okay? And so I train people inside the art of resilience. At Inner Matrix Reset, as an example, we train what does inner resilience look like so you can withstand healthy, levels of stress, right? On the body and emotion and so on, so you develop high level of skill, which translates to a high quality of life, okay? So hopefully this is helpful for you. I guarantee if you think into the past, you have moments in your life where you're like, wow, that was resilience and it built a higher capacity, right? We all have that. Like, you can think back, and it might have been a coach on a sports team, right? It might have been with your parents. It might have been with a friend. It might have been a mentor in your life or a teacher who kind of asked a little bit more of you, and you kind of had to struggle a little bit, but you figured it out and you grew through it, right? If you look back at your life, and you'll see, wow, where I leaned in, and there was some stress there. There was a level to tolerate discomfort. There was an ability to tolerate discomfort, and because I did it, I got stronger, life got better, things got easier, and it diminished pain and suffering. And then I bet you can look back at your life where you're like, wow, I shouldn't have tolerated that as long as I did, and that led to pain, that led to the suffering, right? That led to an injury of some sort. And so you can look at your life and go, wow, you know what? I just need to not, set a boundary around that in the future and not tolerate that moving forward. And so make sure you're making the distinction and even start asking the question, is this pain and suffering? Is this discomfort? If it's discomfort that you're enduring on the way toward what you want to achieve for yourself, that is necessary to eliminate pain, to eliminate suffering, and create the life that you deserve to have, and to create an outstanding existence, to create a life better than you possibly could have imagined, right? If we develop a high capacity to endure pain and suffering, that's not going to create a better life, it's just going to create pain. Okay, that's the difference. One leads to a better reality and the other does not. And so I hope this was helpful, right? We want to develop a high level of tolerance to discomfort, and that is essentially resilience. Okay? We want to have a low tolerance for pain and suffering. And in some ways, having a high resilience is what gives us the fortitude to set firm boundaries around these unhealthy situations. So even in this pain and suffering category, if we don't have a high level of resilience, we're not going to tell the people that need to hear no from us no, as an example. We're not going to have the courage to quit a job that's unhealthy, and so on and so forth. So again, we could keep going deeper and deeper into this. I hope you understand resilience, understand its correlation to success, to creating the outcomes that you desire in your life. And, come to Inner Matrix Reset, and we'll show you, some exercises, some drills that tactically show you how to build higher level of resilience so you can create the outcomes you strive for in your life and ultimately eliminate pain and discomfort. There is no way to totally eliminate discomfort from your life, right? We're gonna have accidents, right? We're gonna injure ourselves sometimes. We're gonna get the flu. We cannot eliminate discomfort from our life. It's a part of life. We can develop our relationship to it so that we thrive. We can absolutely eliminate pain and suffering. We cannot eliminate discomfort from our life. We can eliminate pain and suffering. That's really up to us. All right. Hopefully this was helpful. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.